Hello and welcome to my weekly reading update, which is also a bit of a State of the Bindery update. You may have noticed I am not recording with a mic. The audio is not as great as I would like it to be. That is because disaster struck and I had to get a new phone because my old one that I used to film videos on, it totally broke. It is stuck in a boot loop now, and so I have a new phone. I'm filming this video on the new phone, but I don't have a mic that plugs into it. So I'm in the process of getting the new mic. Also, I wanted to give you a little bit of a Bindery update. Originally, my goal was to film 2 videos for you every week. One weekly reading update and then another long form video, a deep dive or a discussion for the book dragons or the book deities. I'm not that fast of a video editor, as it turns out. I'm still very much getting my feet under me, and I just can't quite make 2 videos a week. So I have decided that instead, the weekly reading updates are going to become bi-weekly reading updates. So every 2 weeks, I will let you know what I've been reading over that 2-week period. So it'll probably be more books, but just in fewer videos. And then in the off weeks, that's when I'll be posting the fun, long-form kind of stuff. So every other Tuesday, you'll get a bi-weekly reading update, and then on the Tuesdays without a reading update, you'll get things like a deep dive into what I think is the one good scene in Twilight, or a discussion of Kate Corain's Crown of Starlight. The next long-form video I have coming down the pipeline is a sort of PowerPoint night, where I'm going to dive into the really weird books I read as a kid. So with all that being said, let's talk about the books that I did read this week. I read some really good books. One of them was The Stars Too Fondly. This is a sapphic rom-com. It's set in space, and it's also really well written. And I mean, what more can you need besides that? We follow Cleo and her friends who definitely didn't mean to steal a spaceship, but did, and suddenly they're off on a 7-year journey to a faraway planet. They don't know how to stop it, and the only help they have is a hologram named Billy. The found family vibes in this one are absolutely delightful. I really loved this one. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I think you'll really like it if you enjoyed The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which was the Elsewine Book Club pick back for May. Even if you didn't like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, though, I think you might want to try this one out because it's got a bit more plot than The Long Way. Less fun, I read Old King. This is historical fiction set in the 70s, which it's really weird to me that the 1970s qualifies as historical fiction, but I mean, it was 50 years ago, which is weird. But so this is historical fiction set in the 70s in rural Montana. So this is very much a book of the Mountain West, capital M, capital W. We follow Dwayne, who has moved there recently, and his kind of weird neighbor, who is in fact a familiar face to us because this neighbor is actually the Unabomber. I did not know that the Unabomber was going to feature heavily in this book when I picked it up. I was actually expecting like a very literary novel about the sort of decline of the Wild West, but this book wasn't necessarily that. I think my disappointment is a case of mismatched expectations, because I often don't really go for pure historical fiction because I feel like historical fiction books sometimes are so intent on like telling me all the facts that the writer has researched that it gets in the way of the actual story. I know for many people though, like my mom, the facts that you learn about the historical time are a big draw to the book. This book in particular, I mean, it felt like I could feel the research in a way I didn't necessarily like, where characters would walk around and say, oh yes, this is XYZ place, da-da-da-da-da-da, using the full name, kind of really giving the vibes of like Disney influencers using the full name of the attraction, which nobody in real life actually does. But I think at the end of the day, that's kind of a me problem. So if this premise sounds interesting to you, if you, like me, are intrigued by the cover, maybe check this one out. I gave it 3 stars. Also read Bank Shot, which was actually written in the 70s. You can't tell that this book is called Bank Shot because the dust jacket is completely missing. I got it from the library and it turns out it's a first edition. So Bank Shot is one of the Dortmunders, one of Donald Westlake's Dortmunders. And what that is it's a series of absolutely ridiculous caper novels. Donald Westlake was a highly prolific writer of crime fiction, largely under the pen name Richard Stark. He wrote all of the Parker novels, which are sort of dark crime novels. He wrote all of them under the pen name Richard Stark. I have read I think 11 or 12 of the 24, so if you ever want a video about Richard Stark novels, let me know. But so he wrote all of these sort of darker crime novels under the name Richard Stark, and then he had some ideas for funny capers, and he wrote those under his true name, Donald Westlake, with the main character, John Dortmunder. In Bankshot, Dortmunder is trying to rob a bank. He's not trying to rob from the bank, he is trying to steal the bank, because the bank building is temporarily under construction, and so all of the money has been moved into like an extremely secure mobile home, and so Dortmunder and his pals are trying to steal the mobile home itself, and of course chaos and hijinks ensue. I cannot recommend this book enough, it's hilarious. I gave this book the full 5 stars because it was just such a blast.